Hey, I'm Max and welcome to my Unity Basics video. In this video, I'll show you how to use the new input system. First off, if you're watching this far off in the future, the new input system is probably baseline into Unity. But at the time that I'm making this video, we still have the old input system by default, and we have to install the package for the new input system. But since I want this tutorial to be good for a long time, I'm going to show you how to use the new one. So if you're watching this video recently after upload, you probably don't already have the new one. So to get it, you just have to go to Window, Package Manager, then make sure here to select Unity Registry and search for Input, and make sure to install the input system. There's going to be an install button at the bottom right. Once you have the new input system installed, you can go on your player object or any sort of game object and add a player input. Now by default you will have no input action, so you can just hit create action and create, and it will create one for you in your assets. Now you can drag it in the actions, select your default scheme, in my case it's keyboard and mouse. Now if you open this input action asset, it's going to show you all the inputs you have. By default you will have move, look and fire. The move will use WASD or arrows and return a vector 2, so depending on if you go up, down, left or right, it will be the X and Y value on the vector 2. Look will use the delta pointer, so when you move your mouse, it will send a message saying how much you move your mouse. In the case of my game though, I want to use the mouse position, so I will go right here where it says delta pointer and I'll click mouse and then position. And by default fire is left button, and that's what I want to use too. If you want to add another action, you can do it here and call it whatever you want. Let's say I want to call it boost, and here you can add a binding, so let's say I'll use the spacebar, and there you go. Now boost will be called when I hit the spacebar. You can add support for different things like gamepads, touchscreen, joystick, and change them in the control scheme. So here my spacebar, for example, would be keyboard and mouse. Now you can hit save assets. Also, if you have an event system for your UI, it might say an error here and have a button to say change to the new input system. You can click this and it will fix the error. Now go on the object where you put the player input and go into player input and set the behavior to invoke Unity events. And now you want to create the events in your script. So in my case the player input is on the same game object as my player script. So I'm going to go in my player script and I'm going to set at the top using Unity Engine.input system. And now to create a method that can be used with the input system and that you can get a value from, for example here I want to get the mouse position from, you just have to do public void and then call it whatever you want. I'll call it on mouse move, and as a parameter you just put input action dot callback context and call it whatever you want. I'll just call it context. And here I want to set the mouse position to the position. In the input action I set the mouse parameter as position instead of delta, so this is going to be the position. So I'll set my mouse position vector to context.read value, and this is to read the value, and the value is of type vector 2, so we type vector 2. And so this is going to return the mouse position. Here I already have a function prepared for the mouse click. I'm not going to explain how it works because that's not the point of this video. It's just to explain the input system. Once you've made your functions for the inputs, you can save it and go back to Unity. Now under your player input, once you set the invoke Unity events, you will get events. Then you go into player and you have your move, look and fire. In my case I used move for the mouse, so I will move and then I will add a action. I will drag my player in here. I will go into player and set the on mouse move. I will do the same thing for fire, so add an action, drag in the player, go into player, mouse click. So now if I move my mouse, it's going to change the position of the mouse, and if I click, it shows clicks and then the position of the mouse. And in case you're wondering what the code here does, it's just to destroy enemies when we click on them. If you want to know how to do that, you can check out my beginner game tutorial. It's on my channel right now. So it's just enemies, and when you click on them, they destroy. I hope this tutorial helped you set up your input system. Make sure to check out my other videos for Unity tips and tutorials, and subscribe if you want.